with a Cuban cigar. In the middle of Paris with a Dominican bar. Great head on her shoulder, she probably studied abroad. She transferred to Harvard from King's College in March. She says that I'm her favorite because she admires.
It's the WAKA Spring 2012 end of season tournament. Happened this past weekend on Saturday. It's Monday night. We've had a couple of days to digest. We enjoyed the wonderful end of season party Saturday night with several 200 of our most sunburnt and rather fatigued looking group out there. Didn't put forward our best partying foot forward, but we'll get into the reasons for that coming up. But into a great season. We're going to recap a little bit of what happened this past Saturday at Gosnold's Hope Park in the muck, in the mud, the dirt, the tears, the blood,
the sweat.
Oh, yeah. And last but not least, the beers.
The beers.
We're joined on the Skype machine through the marvels of modern technology. The outgoing commissioner, Mr. Brent Wentworth. You don't get a nickname this week. You're
I'm Max Headrum. I got that over.
That was really trippy when you did that there.
I was old enough to remember that show when it came on.
Speaking of which, all right, we have a new panel member this week filling in for Mr. Wellbrock, who's enjoying some sun, some sand, probably just some nice, really relaxing nights.
Drunk before noon.
Oh, drunk.
If Wellbrock was here, he wouldn't add anything since he wasn't even at the tournament. So
true. But we do have Brian. I was legally employed in the 80s Pena over there. He's stepping out from behind the camera, joining the fun out front. So if you've ever wondered who that fellow who chuckles behind the camera, and we always talk about how good looking he is, now you can see for yourselves. Just, now that I gotta look straight at you, I don't know if I can do this all night.
God, I wish I was there in person.
I wish you were too.
Me too.
I miss you.
Anyways,
you can't see me caressing my hand down your cheek, but I am. So
you got me all wet over here.
So starting out.
Speaking of wet.
Yes.
Friday night. Man, first off, to tell the story of this tournament, you got to start there because we were all set to go at War Memorial, and then we just got one of those random summer storms that just really just came across Hampton Roads and put a lot of water on there. I was coming home from work and I was driving on 64. I was at the Coliseum exit, and I just couldn't even really see in front of me. It was raining so hard, so I knew we were going to have issues. So I called Jeffrey, my teammate from Shake and Bake, who's the general manager at War Memorial, and I said, hey, what are the fields going to look like? Are we going to be able to play? And he said, well, let me go check it out. And he actually went over to the fields, left Tracy's house, went over to the fields. He said, he called me back like half an hour. He said, they look pretty bad. I don't think we'll be able to play. So I really didn't want to do what we did last spring, where we had to keep postponing it because of weather. So I knew Gosnold's Hope Park was an open field. So I was like, well, let's just do it. And, I reached out to the captains, let them know. I posted on Twitter, Facebook, email. Yeah, everyone did a good job of spreading the word. And I'm glad it worked out because it was a nice day on Saturday. It was a little muddy, but yeah, I'm glad we had that tournament.
I, for one, am glad you made the call because unfortunately I had to miss Wednesday night. We had a doubleheader and I just didn't get my kickball fix in for the week. So my hat is off to you for making that decision. And I had a blast.
Yeah, I was just worried. I was like, man, I hope everyone gets the communication. I hope no one's like pissed off and confused. But I gotta say, everyone really stepped up, and the captains all were on top of it and making sure that players were there. So it worked out pretty good.
About 10 to 20% of this league is a natural state of being pissed off and confused. So you probably wouldn't have turned too many heads with that. And,
the only time they're not pissed off and confused is when they're playing kickball. So
exactly, it sets the world straight. Yeah. I, for one, love playing in the mud. Like, it made me look like freaking Derek Jeter out there sliding around.
It definitely had an impact on, especially in those early morning games.
Oh.
I saw so many people slide and then slide through the bag and then get tagged out.
Yeah.
So
And still in the later games, I saw several instances. Well, not several, but a couple.
There was a little confusion at first with some of the games until that was clearly established that, you know, you can't slide and pick up the base. You know, you have to keep a part of your body in the area where the base was. So once word got out there,
close to where the base was. Obviously, it's not an exact science, but I think refs will give people the benefit of the doubt. But if you're clearly 4 feet past where the bag was, then you're not making any effort to get back. You're just holding the base up over your head.
yeah,
You're gonna get called out for that.
If you're being straddled by your third base coach, you are probably out. All right, we ready to talk about some games then?
I'm ready. I mean,
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right.
my game wasn't much to talk about, but you know.
Well, it's the first one to talk about, so let's hear you talk about what you.
Well,
We've had our time to do our talking. We'll let you do yours. The 5 o'clockers escaped with a 10-0 win in the first game of the day.
yeah. 5 o'clockers came out and put it on us right away. We were missing some players on our team, but you know, the outcome probably would have been pretty close to the same. I'd like to think that maybe we could have got a couple points on the board.
Who are you guys missing?
We were missing our captain, Jen Nardi. She was scuba diving out in the mountains of Virginia for some reason. I guess this had been scheduled long before the date had been determined at the beginning of the season, so it was just something that, you know, she had already committed to, which is understandable. Wilson was missing. We could have used his big boot, put the ball out in the field. But for the most part, our core infield was together. We had me.
You are the core of the infield.
No,
Say no more. You were there.
We had Joe Preso at Charger. We had Dennis at first.
Now you guys see what we have to deal like when the camera's not rolling, man. This guy's always bragging about himself.
Egomaniac.
It's called humility,
we had
man.
Patrick on the mound. Those are the main people that I'm used to communicating with on a weekly basis. We had Max. He's one of Dennis's friends. He managed to make it out, which was really good because he and I rotated out a catcher, and I got to play a little bit of outfield, which I'd kind of been wanting to do all season. So, you know, I'd like to keep this core group of people together and maybe see if we can, you know, practice possibly a couple times next season and see if there's some fundamentals we can get down on our team, because I certainly know there's lots of room for me to improve on, mainly on the offensive part, primarily for me. But I don't know, I had a lot of fun regardless of the score. The 5 o'clockers, like I said, they came out there and they just put it on us right away, and it just didn't stop for them. You know, we made some mistakes, defensive mistakes, and we just really had a hard time getting runners on the bases and bringing any points in. They just did a good job of locking that field down and preventing us from, you know, going anywhere really. So my hats off to 5 o'clockers. Yeah, they set the pace with that game right there. They came out and put a message out to the whole league. You know, we're here to win this, and foul balls are just the first team to experience it. So I had fun.
Back in the day, man, I'll say, you know, as a league historian, 5 o'clockers and foul balls, they used to have some battles every season in the playoffs. They would meet. Actually, the first 5 o'clockers championship, they beat the foul balls, and then in foul balls championship, they beat the 5 o'clockers in the finals. So it used to be, I mean, obviously some of the faces have changed, but it was kind of cool to see that throwback in the first round. This time it just wasn't that close, but
not close at all.
Not so much.
So then, also at the 9 o'clock hour, the number 6 seeded Rumspringa played the number 11 seed Chicken Tetrazzini, the Angry Birds. Similar outcome here. Rumspringa cruised to a 10-1 win. I was still sitting in a fever state popping pills at about 9 a.m. So I didn't catch much of this game. I did see, Rumspringa came in fired up, I think, and we're there to make an impact on this tournament. I think, if I may speak for them, which I will, they were a team who had their sights set on more than just one win this day. They thought they could do it, and they set a good standard with an impressive, definitive 10-1 win over the Angry Birds in the first round.
It's pretty definitive.
Yeah, I saw some of it. Actually, I saw enough of it to really see what happened. The Chicken Tetrazzini, they came out pretty good in the first inning. They kicked first, and Scott Kinney, he had a big double that drove in a run. So Chicken Tetrazzini actually scored early, and they had a lot of confidence. They were hyped up. But then when it came down to Rumspringa in the bottom half of the first, they just put up like 7 runs. They bunted to get on base, and Chicken Tetrazzini really had no answer for it. And then, unfortunately, the pitcher Derek Patterson had a little bit of control issues, walked in a couple runs. They were kind of deflated, but to their credit, man, they kept fighting, and they played the full 5 innings. That there's a certain amount of pride that it takes to avoid the mercy rule when you're just getting pounded in the first inning like that. So, the Angry Birds, they didn't quit, but Rumspringa was hyped up, and I feel like you said, man, they were on it.
I talked with Derek a little bit after the game, and he personally was really down on himself. He was just like, that was the worst game I've ever pitched in my life, and I don't know.
Yeah, it was tough watching it, man.
There was a lot of factors going on, and the wet fields definitely didn't help, I'm sure. But
there was a tight strike zone on there too. So that played a part. Some of those pitches were pretty close, but you still, as a pitcher, you adapt. He was consistent. You just got to find the zone. And Derek didn't use that as an excuse.
No, not at all. That's not what I was implying.
It was hard, man, because everyone likes Derek, and you're sitting there, you're rooting for him. Rumspringa, they were milking that count too. They were going to make him throw some strikes, and so it was tough. But that's what it is. So it was good to at least see Chicken Tetrazzini out there playing in a tournament, because every other year, they've struggled to field the team on the weekend. So they were there. That's great. So
that finished off our 9 o'clock hour. 2 blowout wins for the higher seeded teams. 5 o'clockers in Rumspringa, who would meet in the second round. But before that, we had some more first round matches.